What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Member Perspective podcast show. I'm your host, Colter, and I wanted to cover some discipline in today's episode. I want to talk about discipline and talk about the role that discipline has played in my success over the years, but also share a few things that I've realized and learned along the way, as well as share a framework that I've developed for myself that has allowed me to use discipline in my life to create consistency. The first principle that I think has really helped me reframe discipline in a way that allows me to use it to my advantage is the simple idea of learning to be disciplined on the hard days, on the days that you're busy. Learn to be disciplined on the hard days or the days that you're busy. This is so important. It is so easy for me to be disciplined on the days when I'm in a very good attitude, when I wake up and I'm just ready to go. I think we all have those days when we don't understand really why we feel so good, why we're so positive, other than the fact that we are. And on those days, think about your mental clarity. Think about what you're able to actually get done on the days when you wake up and you're just ready to rock. You feel like things are clear, your motivation is there, and you're ready to just attack the day. You're ready to get closer to your goals. Those days are awesome. I absolutely love them. We all have them. On those days, it is very easy to start listening to all sorts of content, reading books, watching YouTube videos, and you get excited. You get motivated, and those feelings feel really good. It's what's easy to start taking action on those days and be disciplined. But what about the days that are hard? The days where, you wake up and you're just not feeling it. It'd be easy to just roll, get back in bed and go to sleep. That maybe things are a little off. You don't feel the best. You find that it's easy to let your mind wander on negative things and eventually spiral and get out of control. On the days when you're tired, you don't want to wake up, you don't want to get to the gym. If the gym is something that you're wanting to incorporate in your life, you're wanting to lose weight, you're wanting to be healthier, right? That's just an example. But when you're tired and you don't have that motivation, those are the days that discipline becomes super important. And it's very hard, guys, to push through those feelings and get into action because we just don't feel good. We have those days, and life and business, I think, is very much like that. It's a roller coaster of emotions. It's a roller coaster of results. We have different seasons of life, and there are going to be different days, different weeks, months, years that we feel on top of the world. We feel like things are going super well. Those are the times that discipline is easy. Stay disciplined in those days, but also recognize and realize, like, look, those days, weeks, months, years, they're going to end. It's inevitable. You're going to have days that you feel off, that things aren't going the way that you want them to go. And you find yourself allowing yourself to focus on these negative made up scenarios in the future. And if you let yourself go off too far, it has spiraled out of control. And there's nothing that's going to help you get into action. It's going to be very easy for you to say, hey, you know what? Today sucks. Yeah, life sucks. We're going to have those days. We're going to have those times in our lives. So I think understanding that, first of all, is very important. But I think the principle of be disciplined on the hard days and the busy days. Think of it like that. Reframe it. And that should be your focus. If you just focus on being disciplined on the hard days, you can pretty much guarantee that on the good days, you're going to be disciplined. But making that a goal, all of a sudden you're working with the part that actually is going to allow you to find consistency. And that's working with yourself on the days when you don't want to do anything. Though that's when you should focus, in my opinion, guys, and take this for what it's worth, right? I fall on my face all of the time. I know I'm not as successful as I would like to be. However, these are things that have helped me level up. Okay. And so take this for how you want. But for me, as I've reframed discipline and decided to focus on being disciplined and putting forth an extra effort and intention on the days that are hard, on the days when I wake up and I feel off, when I put intention and attention to those days and reminding myself and putting things in place so I can be disciplined on those days, it has absolutely changed the game for me. Okay. It becomes predictable. Because if you're only relying on yourself, or you're only really, and guys, I think let's back up. I think you need to get familiar with yourself. You need to understand how you work. You need to do a self analysis. Look back over the last week, over the last month, over the last year. Start analyzing what you've been doing. Start figuring out, like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have not, it's been easy for me to be disciplined on those really good days, but every time I have a bad day, I don't take action, right? Start to reverse engineer that and say, why don't I take action? Well, I don't feel very good. Well, why don't you feel very good? Is there something that you could do every day that all of a sudden it's predictable that you're going to be in a good attitude? You're going to be able to set yourself up for success. So get familiar and analyze yourself and figure out where you're getting stopped, where the bottleneck is in your personal progress. The way to know that is to just look back. Look back over the last week, over the last month, over the last year, and really figure out where you are. Figure out where you've been, figure out where you are. So now we know what we need to do differently to get to where we want to go. But be disciplined on the hard days, on the days that are busy. That will ensure that it becomes predictable for you. Your success is predictable because you know that the inputs are there. You're being disciplined every single day, especially on the days that are hard. The second thing is to stop making excuses and start making it happen. Guys, I am in a unique position with the Team Member Perspective Training Program, with this podcast, me being a team member. I have experienced more over the last few years than I have in the insurance space, especially in the training space with different team members, and even myself. So in reference to stop making excuses and start making it happen, in the Team Member Perspective Training Group and in one-on-ones that I do with different team members and different teams, I usually give people the benefit of the doubt because I think that's important. You know what? It doesn't matter what you've been doing. Just here's the action that we need to take to get to the next level. And I usually try to help them get out of their head and get into action and give them the benefit of the doubt that, like, look, yes, it is harder than you might think it is, or, it is hard. But I feel like at times I'm a little too easy on people. But guys, ultimately, if you want results in anything in life, you absolutely have to stop making excuses. You have to start to make it happen. A prime example of this is I work with a lot of team members that are in a hybrid service and sales role within the agency, but their primary goal, the way that they make money, is by selling policies. And so a common excuse I hear from team members, and this is just an example of this principle, an excuse that I hear with team members is, I just don't have enough time. Service, it's taking up so much of my time that I can't seem to find time to sell. That is the biggest excuse I've ever heard in my whole life. We've got to reframe that, right? That's making an excuse. And what are you doing when you make that excuse? You're empowering yourself to just use service as a cop-out and use that as an excuse of why you're not producing. You've got to stop making that excuse, and you've got to start to make it happen. The resources are there. If you don't feel like you have the resources, come join the Team Member Perspective Training and Accountability Group. Promise you, you'll get them there. Talk with your agent. Talk with your sales leader. I don't care. The resources are there. So stop making excuses and start making it happen. Rates. We can't control rates. We can't control any of that. We can't control if we submit a life insurance application and the customer gets approved or not. We can't control if the premium comes back higher in that situation or not. So stop using that as a crutch, right? Just start making it happen. Stop making excuses. Your success is solely dependent on you, okay? We all have the same 8 hours in the day. The ones that are getting results at a high level consistently are making it happen. The ones that aren't are making excuses. That's my hot take. Or take it for what you wish, right? But it's so important. You have got to get out of a spot where you're making excuses. You have got to get to a spot where you're taking action to make it happen, okay? The third thing that I want to talk about and share is my framework of how I feel like I've made progress in any area of my life. And this is how I view everything. 1, understand where I want to go. 2, understand where I'm at. And 3, know what I need to do to get there. I've called this the upward spiral, okay? Because the way I like to view of this and progress is an upward spiral, right? In consistency, we're going to be doing a lot of the same things over and over and over and over again, right? For example, in life insurance, To sell life insurance consistently, there are a couple of things that need to happen, right? They need to happen over and over and over again. And these things are the controllable actions that we have control over in selling life insurance. So, first of all, I'd like you to ask yourself, what am I doing consistently every single day that's in my control that gets me closer to selling life insurance policies? The controllable actions that actually move the lever. What are you doing every single day to do that? Do you know what the controllable actions are? The way I like to view this, like I said, upward spiral. And so progress, we're doing the same things over and over. It's like a circle. We've got to continue to do those things over and over again. But instead of just viewing it like a circle, I like to view it like an upward spiral, because the idea is if you can continue to be disciplined and take consistent daily action, progress means you're going to get better and better and better. You're going to go upwards. And so that's how I like to view this, first of all. Okay. And so I've identified 5 different steps that I personally use to use discipline to actually get progress in any area of my life. The first thing that has been so important for me is that in order for me to actually get progress or get to the next level in something, the first thing that I need to absolutely have or do is I need to care about it, right? I need to have a reason as to why I want to do this, right? I need to know your why. I need to care about it, because if I don't care about it, I'm not incentivized by it. Why would I do it? Okay. So I think that's foundational. You're wanting to sell more life insurance, sell more supplemental health policies, auto, fire, PLUPs, PAPs, whatever it is, you need to have a reason why. You need to care about it. That's the first thing. Second thing, you need to know the controllable actions to get you there. We just talked about that. We hear consistency being talked about all of the time. Pull up social media, be consistent, be disciplined, and be consistent. So we hear about that all the time. But again, I feel like it's a little hollow, because a lot of the times, most of us team members don't even know what actions to take to get consistent. So the second thing is you need to know what actions, specifically controllable actions, that you need to do that will get you there. Okay. So you need to define that for yourself. The third thing is to take disciplined daily action. Disciplined daily action, right? Over and over and over again. The inputs have to be there if you want the outputs. Okay. And you need to focus, like we said, on that controllable action. It needs to be in your control. And then you need to take it consistently every single day. And so that's the third part. The fourth part, which I feel has really helped me in making sure that I'm actually seeing progress, is to look back and analyze, right? Look back over the last week, over the last month, over the last year, and be brutally honest with yourself and decide if you are on the right path, right? And really just analyze how it's been going for you. Is it working? What's not working? What is working? Look back. I try to do that as often as I can. At least weekly. For me, I'm doing a weekly planning every end of the week. And the first part of that planning is I'm going to look back and analyze how things went that week. And I'm going to do it in 4 different areas. And this is something that I share with the team member perspective accountability group, because it's been a lever mover for me, which is why it's the fourth thing as far as these upward spiral of progress. Okay, so you've got to look back. And so I will analyze different areas that allow me to find success in this case, is being a successful, consistent, high producer in the multi-line insurance space. There are 4 areas that I focus on: mindset, activity, training, and follow-up. When I look back and I analyze those different areas, I like to give myself a score on a scale of 1 to 10 and say, you know what, over the last week, how was your mindset? Rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10. Were you showing up to work in a predictable, positive attitude where you could set yourself up to go out and have a rock solid day, rock solid conversation with your customers? How was your mindset? How was your activity? Did you have enough conversations, or did you have enough controllable daily activity last week? Give yourself a score on a scale of 1 to 10. How was your training? Are you training consistently? How effective is your training? How effective are your conversations? Are there spots throughout the week that you got stuck with your customers? Was it, on the pivot of when I brought up life insurance, is that where I was getting a lot of friction from people? Was it, my sales presentation was just maybe mediocre? I don't feel like it had emotion involved. I don't feel like the customer could relate to that. Or maybe, I did have a solid presentation last week. I felt like the customer was extremely involved emotionally, and I went to my close and I did it in a logical way, right? Analyze how your conversations have been going. Get to a point where you can define and pinpoint, that's where I need to focus. That's the purpose of looking back, is to develop awareness around what's working and what's not, so you know what you need to do differently to get to the next level, or you know what you need to continue to do and do more of to get to the next level. Looking back and analyzing how you've done, what's working and what's not, is so important in this upward spiral of progress. And the last and fifth thing that I wanted to share around this is to rinse and repeat. Okay, so once you've looked back over the week, now all of a sudden, reanalyze and go back and revisit your why, the reason why, right? The number one thing, you've got to care about it. And I think that's going to change. That's going to evolve over time. For me, when I was single and going to college, my why and what motivated me was completely different than what motivates me now as a husband, as a father, right? It's completely different. And so life changes. So it's very important that you revisit the reason why. You've got to care about it. Okay. When you care about it and you revisit that, maybe you tweak that, all of a sudden you can utilize that to your advantage when times get tough, right? And the days that you don't want to take action, well, you're going to revisit that why, you're going to revisit that reason. And guys, this is why it's so important to really understand that reason. Get down deep, right? Stop being so superficial with your why. I think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Utilize your why effectively, and you will stay in consistent daily action. That discipline will come. What taking action will just happen because your why is so strong. Okay, so continue to revisit that. Go back, figure out right now in my life, what is it that motivates me? Okay, you're going to know the controllable actions you need to take. So if you don't know those, you've got to define them, because the inputs need to be there for us to get the desired output. Okay, the key here is controllable daily action. After you know that, and after you revisit that, and you've got to stay in daily action. You've got to be disciplined, and you've got to do it every single day, even on the days that are tough, guys. It's important. Then you need to look back, you need to analyze, see what's working, see what's not. And you're going to rinse and repeat. Continue to do that. And that's why I feel like it's an upward spiral, right? It has elements in there that will allow you to be logical and actually figure out what needs to happen to get to the next level rather than just guess. This is when success and consistency, in my personal experience, becomes predictable. We're working smart, right? It's based on data. We know, because we've looked back, we've analyzed ourselves, and we know what we need to do to get to the next level. So all of a sudden it becomes predictable. Okay, and that's where we want to be. We don't want to leave our success up to chance. So if you don't want to leave success up to chance, be disciplined. Okay? Use this framework and make sure that you're being balanced and you're working smart and really defining what needs to change for you to get to the next level, or what you need to continue to do to stay on track for the next level. Okay? And the last thing that I would like to end on, that has been something that has really helped me lately as far as staying consistent, staying disciplined, and getting myself to actually do it every single day. And it's the idea of understanding what fuels you. Okay? And I've listened to this and been taught this by different mentors. But are you the type of person that is motivated by pleasure of hitting a goal and being successful and making money and whatever there? Like, is that what motivates you right now at this point in your life? Is it going towards pleasure? Or, guys, is it moving away from pain? Moving away from pain, as I've analyzed myself over my life, I hate losing more than I like winning. It's interesting. It's been an interesting relationship with that throughout my life. I grew up playing baseball competitively, and I'm extremely hard on myself. And in baseball, I'm 9 to 10 years old, and we go to a tournament over the weekend, and if I go 0 for 4 at the plate, I was so hard on myself that my whole weekend was ruined. I cared so much about having good statistics when I was batting that it would truly affect me in a lot of different ways. But what I started to realize as I revisited that and kind of analyzed, like, holy cow, this is what motivated me. It was moving away from pain. I absolutely hated striking out and going 0 for 4 more than I enjoyed going 4 for 4. Okay? So that whatever fuels you right now, use it. I think that's one of the first things that you should realize is, like, look, if you're going away from pain, that is okay. Right? If you're going towards pleasure, that is okay. But what fuels you most right now at this point in your life? Is it going towards pleasure or away from pain? Whatever your fuel is, use it to your advantage. That has been something that has absolutely changed things for me over the last year of my life. Okay. So I appreciate you guys. I hope there are takeaways that you can take and apply to what you're doing. I hope, me sharing my experience and what I've experienced over the years helps, right? And my hope is that you can find something, just something to implement and get to that next level in business or in life. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you on the next episode.